Hello everyone and welcome to Tarantulas with Shanti. I'm going to show you the difficult method of making a spider mask. You can see here that I'm using a mold, a face mold, and I am taking my strips of newspaper that I have put paste on and putting them on the face. Now you're going to need to have strips of paper for this project and cut them up like the ones that you see me using, and you're going to need white flour and water paste. It's very easy to make. Now after I've added the pieces to the face to make the basic mask, I'm going to make the fangs, because we're making a spider or tarantula, whichever you prefer. And to make these fangs, I'm just bulking up pieces of paper with paste and folding them into squares. Just think of it as adding from the inside out. So I put these squares together and I shape them. Now remember that you're going to be using white flour, not wheat flour. I used wheat flour because it was what I had. It doesn't work as well at all. So if you have white flour, mix that with water to make your paste. So just watch how I've folded these squares, and then I take additional pieces, strips of newspaper, and fold them around to secure it. And you're just building bulk, building it up. Now these face masks don't always fit everyone's face, and you have to really measure. So after this difficult method, I'll be showing you an easier method, and you can just use some cardboard that you have at home, and I used a business card to offset the fangs from the nose on the mask. So here I am, I'm still bulking up these fangs, and then I'm kind of bending them a little bit, making them a little bit concave. One important thing to note is that you're going to want to use a lot of layers. You don't want to skimp on layers, because that's what holds everything together. And just think of it as a structure that you're building from the ground up. So your mask has to have a good, strong foundation to be able to support everything else. And you can make the different components separately and then attach them. So don't worry about them being separate. Paper mache will dry very light. That's one of the beauties of it. And once you get the paper wet with the paste, it's very easy to manipulate. It's almost like a sculpting medium. You can tear it off into smaller chunks and larger chunks depending on what you're using it for. And you can get as elaborate as you want with this. You can change the shape of these fangs to any shape that you'd like and make a face of any spider or tarantula that you want to make. I will be really interested to see all the different faces that people make if they create their own mask. Now I'm wrapping up the second fang. Once again, keep in mind that you won't be using wheat flour, you'll be using white flour. So here I have my two fangs, and I'm going to test them out, just kind of position them on the face. And I need to add a lot more structure to the face. I'm going to build up the forehead on the mask. I can just use that same technique that I did with the fangs and take some paper, fold it into squares, and lay it on the forehead, and then put strips over the top of that. And you can see that I've broken it up into smaller squares just to make it easier to place it around the eyes. Okay, so this took a while to dry because I used the wheat flour. The other flour will dry much faster, and you can also speed this along by using some kind of heat source. So this is actually the next day for this mask, and I have gone to the store and gotten the white flour that I needed, and I'm going over the mask with it to smooth it out. And I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to place these fangs. They ended up looking almost like big hooks, maybe some kind of long-jawed spider. Later I ended up trimming them down a little bit. And this wasn't a serious mask. This is kind of a novelty mask, almost comedic. If you've seen the meme that's going around of the Michael Jackson spider face eating a cricket in the theater that people use when they're watching other people argue in forums, then that's what idea I'm going for here. You can see that I've used something, in this case it's some masking tape to prop up the fangs, and then I'm wrapping strips around the eye socket and underneath the mask. And this way I'm going to build up a base. This will attach the fangs to the rest of the mask, and it'll dry and set that way. Building these masks is a great way to be a spider character without having to go all out and have 8 arms and legs and a full costume. You can just dress as a person and just have this mask and make it yourself and have your own spider personality. I'm sure that they're all going to look different. So I'm wrapping these strips of paper in between the fangs, under the mask, through the hole where the nose goes, and through the eye sockets, and also on the sides so that it's covered all the way around. And you can see it's kind of fallen a little bit, and that's okay. You just add some more and then you prop it up, because the position it's in when you prop it up and it dries, that will be the position that it stays in when it hardens. And here again you can speed the drying of your mask by placing it near a heat source. Now, you know our tarantulas have little mohawks, so I decided to make little mohawks on these masks. Now on the sides there, I have taken little pieces of paper that is that are dipped in the paste mix and place them so that I can stick the eyeballs in. So there's going to be 8 eyes. And I'm going to go ahead and, as you can see there, I'm putting pieces of paper all along the edge where it might be rough. You may not need to do that. It may just be because I used the brown whole wheat flour, and so I needed to go back over it with the white wheat paste, the white flour paste. Okay, so now I have my eyeballs, and I'm going to put them into those little squares that I made. You could do this any number of ways. I'm sure you could probably directly stick them right on your mask, but I just thought this would give it a little more character. I love the way that the eyeballs just kind of go in different directions. It makes it kind of fun. Like, who are you looking at? Which way are you looking? And the placement of the eyes is another interesting factor. You can choose eye placement based on what species of spider you're going to do. I didn't really stick to anything too closely. I mean, I guess it's kind of a mutant tarantula of some kind, maybe. I don't know. But the eye pattern, you could do a wolf spider, a jumping spider, and there's all kinds of possibilities. And in the next video, I'm going to paint the mask. That video I probably won't get out until maybe Sunday. So you can go ahead and paint your mask any way that you want. And I'll put out that video so that you can see what I've ended up doing. Okay, now we're going to go over the easy method of mask making. Now you just use cardboard scraps for this, and you cut out an area for the nose and the eyes, and you can measure this and customize it according to the person. And don't worry about the holes for where you will put a string to hold the mask on, because we'll just drill those or poke them through later. So what I'm doing here is I have a business card that I've cut, and I am shaping it so that what it's going to look like is a duck at first, but this is just a bridge to hold the fangs, and we just need to build that bridge up so that it can support the fangs. I really think this is my favorite method of making a mask, just from scratch and from cardboard that I have lying around. In this case, I had several Fear Not Tarantula business cards, and I thought, hey, I'll put one to good use. I often do this with our local paper, the Inlander, and that's what I'm using in this case. So it's pretty fun to be able to tell people, hey, I made my mask out of the Inlander or out of your business card. So you can see it's starting to take shape and look like a duck. I cut the business card with scissors, cut all of the corners off, and then I bent the side of it that's sticking flat against the mask. So you do a lot of bending and shaping with your fingers when you make one of these masks, and you can go ahead and test it out. You really can't make a lot of mistakes unless something's put on completely crooked, and sometimes that just gives it character. So I just keep adding layers. And here is the base of the mask. And I put it on the face so that you could see it. And now I'm rolling up the fangs. And this is just some random pieces of paper, and I've just coated them with a little bit of the paste, and I'm just rolling them up loosely and then attaching them with more paste and paper. It's okay if they're hollow. In fact, that's good because they'll be lightweight. The last thing you want is something really heavy on your face all night. So you can see it kind of looks flat at this point, but just think of it as you're building the body from the inside out. So there you can see, after adding a lot more paper, it's starting to build up some bulk. And once again, I'm using the tape to hold the fangs in place so that they don't fall down. And you just keep wrapping and wrapping. You can make smaller pieces when you need to. You can fold them in half like I'm doing. Now I'm going to add a little bit of bulk to the top of the fangs there. So I'm just folding it into squares and pressing it in. And now you can see that I've added bulk to the face, and I'm going to go ahead and reinforce around the eyes. And these are the little placements for the eyes, the little googly eyes. And you can see I've got those on. And I'm going to put these little eyes on. And make sure if you get any flour on the eyes that you wipe it off so that it doesn't stick. Another thing that I recommend is that you wear latex or maybe some vinyl gloves. I didn't wear gloves. I don't wear gloves a lot when I'm working with things. But you really do have to scrub your hands, and some people's skin may be sensitive and this may cause a problem. Okay, now I'm shaping some fangs. I'm just tearing the paper. Oh no, that's not what I'm doing. I'm making a little mohawk. Such a goofy looking creature. These are some goofy masks. It'll be interesting to see what they look like when they're painted. You know, you could make your whole family just a bunch of silly spiders. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and make the fringe. You know how the tarantulas have that little bit of fringe that's right above their chelicerae? So I'm going to make that fringe right above the chelicerae. Just folding over the paper, testing it to see that it goes, and then I'm going to cut all the little hairs. I used big sewing scissors and I messed up, so I had to start again with the smaller scissors. The scissors were so big I just cut the whole thing in half. Alright, so I'm putting some of the paste on the underside so that I can stick it to the top of the chelicerae. Then I'm coating it with the paste substance because it will harden, and that way it won't tear. And now I'm actually making the fangs. And I've just taken and torn some paper and just kind of rolling it and putting some paste on it. And bending them, and I'm going to cut them off to make them sharper and a little bit shorter. You can incorporate all kinds of things into these masks too. You could put hair or yarn or anything really that you can work into the paper mache. Get as creative as you want. So there you see we've got both of the fangs attached to the chelicerae, and I'm using little pieces of paper, and there you have it. Silly.